and the Out of Bounds radio app. And we're efforting the man, the myth, and the legend, Chris Lemonis, Hail State baseball coach. Hopefully we can catch up with him. Want to say good morning, welcome in. Yeah, the Red Storm of St. John's, Derek, they play in Queens, New York. Who knew? Well, actually, I did know because I followed St. John's basketball in the 80s. But the Red Storm won their 10th postseason conference title. That's a lot. And so Hail State baseball going against St. John's tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock our time, 7 o'clock their time, in Charlottesville, Virginia, in the Virginia Regional. We are the Out of Bounds Show. We're brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue. The official healthcare provider of the Out of Bounds Show. And this is ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We welcome in Chris Lemonis, Hail State baseball coach. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Chris, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. How do you feel 5 or 6 days removed from the SEC baseball tournament? Y'all have had a little time off. You know where you're in Charlottesville now. And what's it been like prepping the last 5 or 6 days, Coach?
Well, we got after it. We made a point that we wanted to have better practice than anybody in our regional. So we had a pretty tough week of practice. And got here to Charlottesville last night, about to head out to practice today, and I feel like we're ready.
What do you so baseball's such a mental game, and it's that delicate balance, I guess, on coaching people hard and also, trying to motivate them, bring them around. What's your approach, you and Gotro's approach this week with number 42 and 44 as far as trying to just get them going a little bit more, Coach?
Well, you hit it right on the head. It's a mental game more than anything, and so we got kids who work hard. And so we actually we made a decision. And when this is used, I'm a hitting guy too. So that's always the tough part for me. But I let Goat take them. I don't want too many voices. So, Goat spent a lot of one-on-one time with them this week, spent a lot of team practice time with them. They both had really good weeks of practice. But it's about freeing up a little bit mentally and smile on your face and feel good about your swing instead of, stressing out. And we just had them, trying to do too much last week. And ours is a game that if you try to do too much, you get less. And so trying to get them to relax and play and have fun.
How big of an impact they don't even have to get hot. I have a guy who I respect that's around all these programs, and he said they don't even have to get hot. If they get lukewarm, it totally changes the dynamic of your lineup in front of them and behind them. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I agree. The funny thing is we keep saying, what if they were both hot at the same time? I don't think either one, they haven't been hot at the same time all year.
No.
Hunter had some really big weekends in SEC play. Dakota struggled. Obviously, Dakota had some big weekends, and Hunter struggled. So, if we can get them both playing good baseball and bringing their good swings, and, yeah, they don't have to be superstars this weekend. They just got to be a part of the group. And then we could do some damage.
Have you decided? Are you going with Cal Steven, or what's the approach this weekend?
Yeah, we're going Cal on Friday night. So
okay,
he was a good matchup for him. He's more rested than everybody, so we'll go Cal on Friday night. So I'm not a guy who saves pitchers. So I know everybody, a lot of people, save it for the second game or third game, and I'm a format, and y'all have seen it since we've been here. I go my best guy first. So, and I say best guy, him and Durangelo are tit for tat, but I'm not into saving guys.
Sure.
So I think you got to win game one. So
Cal has been so good for your team, man. I feel like he's got. What's he like personality wise, Coach?
Quiet, tough kid, so he doesn't say too much, kind of that stoic type of guy. Very, very good teammate with all the team, kind of fit right in right when he got here, and he's been a stabilizing force for us. That Friday night, 6-7 innings, what you're going to get from a pitching staff that had kind of bounced around the previous couple of years. When you know what you're going to get out of Cal, it's been a big piece for us. And so he really has kind of solidified that staff and just kind of been a leader for that group.
You know, the SEC Network crew had him on during one of your games, and you're down there coaching and doing other things
Right.
and locked in, okay? He was so good on TV, Coach. I mean,
Oh, was he good?
look, his personality, his demeanor, he was funny. I know they kept him because I'm in the business. If you find somebody that's
Yeah.
good, you keep them
Yeah.
on because you're generating content, especially when those guys are calling 15 hours of games during a day.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was
I didn't
funny.
realize he was good.
Yeah.
I could see that though. He's just quiet. He doesn't say it. He's a very professional approach, but he's got some real personality to him. Very mature kid. Like he's very, very mature coming in, and yeah, I could see him being good.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
His hair reminds me of like Roadhouse in the late 80s when Swayze was that bouncer in that movie. Chris, do you remember that movie?
Yeah, I remember that movie. I love that movie.
Yeah.
So he plays with it all game. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
Like every time he pitches, he fixes his hair. So I think the guy's giving him a little bit of a hard time. But he got great hair. We got a couple of them, man. We may have the all hair team with him and Pico and some of those guys. And heck, Durangelo has great hair. So
Yes, he does.
That pitching staff probably has the best hair on the team. So
Well, I think my wife fell in love with Marshawn's hair. He changed it later in the year, but she first, like, I don't know, first few weeks of the season, she sat down and
yeah, he had
Wendy,
it long. Yeah.
yeah, and she was like, "Oh, he's so cute." And then I told her, I don't know, I haven't told you this because I haven't taught you as much during the season, but we got to have Marshawn on before y'all beat Bama on Friday a few weeks ago, and
Yeah.
this kid is so mature. He was so good.
Yeah, he is.
We had Jackson and I interviewed him after the show on Friday. I was already in Starkville, and Chris, he's no wonder he's so damn good for you at shortstop and in the lineup and doing and running the bases. He's got all of it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he comes from a very unique. He's I don't know, is it 7 brothers and sisters? I coached against one of his brothers 15 years ago. That's how long I've known the Marshawn family, and that was kind of the connection. And he has another brother who's going to be a high school senior who's committed to South Carolina.
Wow.
I mean, it's a big Catholic family. David's at the Catholic church all the time there in Starkville. Very principled kid. But he's very unique. He sang the anthem one game, right? Like he'll just shock you with but very mature, and he loves baseball. And in this day and age, they all like baseball, but the ones who love it and just die for it, and it's been such a joy to coach because I say coach, you don't coach him. He just shows up and he's there and he's working like a maniac every day. I mean, it's just a joy.
We're visiting with Chris Lemonis, Hail State baseball coach, on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line there in Virginia for the Charlottesville, Virginia regional. They'll play St. John's tomorrow night, 6:00 our time. Cal Steven will throw for Coach Lemonis. So one more I want to talk about, then we'll get into the Red Storm. As far as a guy who I just love his kind of makeup and especially his demeanor at the plate, he doesn't look like anything phases him. Amani Larry is such a dude to me. Tell me about him.
Yeah, he excuse me. He is a dude, and he struggled a little bit this year. It's been tough. He's been in and out of the DH and play, which they all want to play and not DH, and I understand that. And then, he's had a little bit of ups and downs offensively, but he does show up. You know what he does for you? He gets on a ton. It's his walks and HBPs are so high, even when he's not hitting. I'm just, he's getting on a time or two a game. And then you look in our rallies, a lot of times Amani, there more times than not, Amani's in the middle of it, But he's a worker too. He showed up. His dad was a big-time baseball player, played in the College World Series when he played, and comes from a baseball family, and he just gets it. He loves the work. And, he's been playing a lot better here of late.
Yeah, he's like Billy Bean's favorite player. He just gets to first base somehow.
Yeah.
Chris Lemonis on the Out of Bounds show. Okay, I know you're running. I'm going to ask maybe one or two more. St. John's. All
right, I'm fine.
What concerns you about this club that you're facing tomorrow night, Coach?
Well, I think it's we've been practicing all week because they like to bunt, they like to run, they like the first and third steal. They like to do a lot of things that don't happen in our league. So, I think there's some of that that's going on that we're going to have to contain that. And you contain that just by getting leadoff hitters out. That's usually the best way you contain that because it's hard to do all that stuff with one out. But we have to be good in that phase of the game. And then just, our hitters, they have some nice pieces in their bullpen too. We're going to see a good starter who's had a good year, but they also have some nice pieces they can flip-flop around. So we're going to have to do some work offensively.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed they like to move around on those bases. So that, I guess y'all been stressing that with Long and Powell throughout the last 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Prepping. Yeah.
Bunt defense, first and third defense, pickoffs. You don't do a lot of that during the season. So we spent all this week different facet every day. One day we just did pickoffs in our defensive segment, and then we did, bunts, and then we did first and third yesterday, and just trying to do a review of everything. You get a little more practice time in a week like this. So, and we feel good about it. I mean, we're a good defensive team, and our catchers can throw. So it's not and Park does a great job. I think we've picked off more guys this year than I've picked off in my career. So Parker does a great job with holding the running game.
When talking about Parker, and he's been fantastic for you. Could you argue that was the biggest recruit?
That was me and Goat say it all the time. That was our best portal piece. Better, we were going through it all last year, right? Like that was you're going through, you're trying to hire a guy, but you're also trying to sign some guys. And when you don't have a guy, like when you don't have your pitching guy, it's tough. I mean, the portal's kind of starting to trickle out for us right now, and we're getting a lot of interest, and we're just in a lot better spot than we were last year. So kids that we're hearing from and stuff, but yeah, Park was our best portal. We would never tell him that, but he was our best portal sign last year. So.
All right, so I'm trying to figure out who I'm more impressed with. I mean, Steven and Durangelo you mentioned early, and they've been magnificent, but Auger, Davis, Hard. I mean, these guys have just made major strides in their game on the bump, Chris.
Yeah, they did. Tyson Harden probably more than anybody from a stuff wise. I mean, TD fooled us last year because we just kept thinking like, what is going? Why is he getting hit? And confidence does play a lot into everything. It's like, so you deal with confidence, but Tyson went from being what would you call more of a ride guy, four-seam ride, to where they came in and Park changed it to a sinker, and that sinker's really taken off. You'll see him throw that thing up underneath the left-handers, and that's really been the key. He went from a ride and a slider to it's almost like a two-seamer and a cutter right now, which is a very different look for the hitter, and that's made a big difference for him. And then as he's gotten more confident, you're seeing his velo rise each week. So it's been a nice transition there. I think the Schulke, piece has been good for us too. Not that he was with us last year, but we get a lot of different options out of our bullpen, which we did not have in the past.
Yeah, he's my favorite guy, and I loved seeing him pitch well in the SEC tournament last week. How'd that make you feel?
Who was that?
Schulke.
Auger? Oh, Schulke, my bad. I lost you for a second. Yeah, Schulke was great. It just depends on the game for us. We got to match him up right. But he's one of the tough kids we added into that pitching staff too. Got real tough-minded, hard-nosed kid, and you get him in the right spots, he can really help you.
Yeah, he is Chris Lemonis on the Out of Bounds show. Does your team have I don't even know if this works in baseball, so you tell me. Does your team have a chip on their shoulder after being snubbed on Sunday? Was that addressed at all, or did you guys just continue to prepare and compete? And you said y'all had a pretty big week in practice.
Well, I think the kids did, because we have, obviously teams have group messages, right? So the group messages started flying right after that. And so, I think there's a little bit of a chip from our guys because our older players were pretty pissed. And then, I use it as a coaching moment the next day. I just, I say it every year, the first Tuesday, the next Tuesday. Hey, you build your resume every day. It doesn't feel like it in February, right? But, and I don't think we got treated the right way. I still think we did enough to earn it.
Oh, no doubt you
did. But you can solidify it with other games, right? When you put it in the committee, everything's so subjective to them, and it's whatever their agenda needs to be that year. It changes every year. It changes per committee. It changes per what that committee's team needs, right? So if somebody on that committee, their team is a good RPI team, then all of a sudden you hear it's all about RPI, And then, next year it's about quad one wins. Well, I mean, we have more quad one wins than probably 4 or 5 of the hosts put together.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the absurd. And then there's always the SEC bias. We get too many teams, we get too many of this. And then you look up at the end of the year and there's 4 or 5 teams in Omaha and there's an SEC team usually winning it. There's a reason, but it's new committee members every year. But our team, yes, they're a little pissed. So they, I hope they play like that this week. But they're a little pissed about it.
Me too. Last one. We're visiting with Chris Lemonis, Hail State baseball coach. He's in Charlottesville, Virginia, and they're getting ready to play St. John's tomorrow night at 6:00 our time. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. What is the plan for Dome this weekend, Coach?
Probably a little bit like you saw in the SEC tourney. Get him in a big spot, help us win a game. Maybe a tourney goes long and he has to jump out there and start. But, his innings still aren't super, super high right now. He'd probably give you, 3 or 4 at the most, But I thought he did a great job in the SEC tourney coming out and keeping us in that A&M game, and he got the win in that game. So kind of a little bit of an X factor type of guy. So with Auger and Pico, you have 2 other starters there too. So you kind of have this, just figure out what matches up best and who you're playing. But I do think he gives us, and it was nice because he pitched again on Saturday against Missouri and then Wednesday, I think. And so he's had a nice little break right here, which he kind of needed. And not everybody needs that, but when you're coming off and you haven't pitched a lot, I think that's kind of helped him. He's felt pretty good the last couple of days.
Yeah, he looked good. Chris Lemonis, thanks so much for your time today. Best of luck this weekend.
You got it. Thanks, Bo. Hail State.
Chris Lemonis, Hail State baseball coach. They had a heck of a year, and now they're in Charlottesville, Virginia, and they are the 2 seed, as Virginia is the number 1 seed, and they will face the St. John's Red Storm. I think we need to look up, Jackson and Derek in the break, famous, I've already mentioned a couple of them, Lou Carnesecco and Chris Mullen, but famous St. John's alums. Now, Rick Pitino is there, right?
He counts, right?
As the head basketball coach.
Yeah, I'm counting him.
And even though he's not an alum, he's a New York guy. And if you've listened to the show, you know how much I love Rick Pitino, but I'm not rooting for the St. John's Red Storm tomorrow night. So good morning. Welcome in. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Hope you're doing well. I'm glad to be back from a beach trip that was awesome. We could not have ordered better weather. And if you go this summer, I hope that you have amazing weather. I'm not sure I deserved it, but I was glad that we had it. It felt great. It wasn't hot, like super scorching hot, like it's going to be in a few weeks. And the water was blue-green all week, and the weather was amazing. Had an absolute blast. Never ate out. Just we cooked in. It was a crew of us, sometimes 8, 10, 12, 15 of us. And we played the music loud. Ate some unbelievable food from Goat Feathers, all that seafood they have there. And hey, shout out to Joseph at Martin's. I had the Patron Barrel Select.
Nice.
And it with some water and oranges, and it was absolutely refreshing and delicious. See, I got what I wanted from the Patron, which is unbelievable. And then I stayed hydrated.
They're up and running. They're firing off, right?
They're firing off.
Yep.
Martin's in Livingston.
Yeah.
Firing off, baby. So, in fact, I need to text Joseph during the break, but I'm excited for him. Martin's downtown, super cool. But Martin's in Livingston, right down here on 463, adds to that whole Briar Patch. And Joseph took over the Mercantile Shop.
I was going to say they have the whole,
They're going to put some fire on that. He's going to, he knows how to do all that. So it's going to be nice. That's a beautiful area, by the way. We're fortunate to have it with a bunch of rooftops around there. So that place, they hadn't even scratched the surface on what that place will be.
No, because a lot of people are they're traveling right now and a lot of moving parts. And when everything settles down after August, I expect it to just explode.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to flex. So we're excited to be a part of it too.
Think maybe we can get like a cot out there or something. That's a long drive back for me.
Joe, so the way the mercantile shop is the floor plan,
Yeah.
we can find you a little kind of like a little 1-bedroom nook.
Yeah, nook.
And
I'll take a
we'll get
closet.
you. Joseph will set you up at Martin's in Livingston.
It's a good guy. I have faith
Yeah.
in that.
Or we can get somebody to designate Airbnbs just for.
Jackson.
Yes.
That's right. You know, you should live above the Briar Patch.
I don't.
They've got that second floor above the Briar Patch.
Brian.
I've
never
always
let me
thought,
get it done.
Do like 3 or 4 condos up there
Do
for
they not
about
have-
$400,000 a piece.
Yeah. Oh,
And-
I would love.
And just let it rip, right? Totally open, like a Charleston studio
Yeah,
apartment
yeah,
or
yeah.
a New York studio apartment.
I would never leave Livingston.
Well, why would you?
I mean, there's no sense.
Right.
I got everything I need right there.
Yeah. I have had a cigar night up there in one of those, I guess it was an office then, but they've got a balcony, and we sat outside, and the guy ordered a bunch of, this is a long time ago, this is like 12 years ago. We smoked cigars, and he ordered a bunch of food. Oh, it was when the other place was open.
County seat.
Yeah, he ordered a bunch of food. We had a
Hey.
charcuterie board and all, and we were smoking these amazing cigars and drinking great wine, and it was,
That was Brian as well, right? In the beginning? Or
well, he didn't own it. He was
The bartender.
one of the bartenders.
Yes.
And then he decided to hang his own shingle, which was smart,
Yeah.
and open the Briar Patch shortly thereafter and make it one of the coolest bars in the state of Mississippi.
When he was at county seat, man, you talk about the best White Russian I've ever had poured in my life. It's incredible. I mean, I remember going there day after day.
Are you listening to this, Derek?
Solely
It's
for
such a tough.
I would leave here and go straight there.
This
and go
is
get a
the
Russian.
example of somebody who like drinks to pound.
Yeah.
Dude,
Like that is a drink of like, hey, I'm gonna have 4 or 5 of these in the next 30 minutes.
I'm gonna slug them.
I have one, and I'm like, okay, that's enough of everything involved in that.
Yeah, so on like December 4th,
Oh,
I'll have a White Russian. Because it's the holidays and it's cold.
Yeah.
A Tito's Vodka White Russian. And it's cold, and I'll light a cigar, and I'm with whoever I'm with. Maybe I should have one tonight at Philip M's for dessert.
I
should.
could never hang with Jackson. He just
No.
he
Dude,
goes hard.
You're supposed to mix one up in like one of those big Gatorade gallon
I
buckets. and
meant to
stick it in there
bring
and just-
my bottle of Kahlua, and I didn't, and I'm upset with myself. And we would have made White Russians in the third hour. Tito's Vodka White Russian.
Yeah, we can just do Tito's vodka and water.
Well, there was a lot of that on the beach.
That's the way to move on the beach.
All right, good morning. Welcome in. The Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It is good to be blue. The official healthcare provider of the Out of Bounds Show, Blue Cross Blue Shield of